Bianca, my coworker, strutted in and grabbed my ex-husband Frank's hand like she'd just won the lottery. "Thanks for handing over your filthy rich husband," she smirked. I smiled back with a look of pity, thinking to myself, the filthy rich man you adore was on his knees just yesterday begging me for grocery money. So really, thank you for taking out the trash I didn't want. It was barely morning when I walked into the office, still adjusting my bag strap, and hadn't even settled into my chair when I heard that familiar syrupy voice dripping with sarcasm. "Guess it really does pay to marry rich. Shows up late every other day. Must be nice when your husband owns the place." Didn't have to look. That was Bianca. She wasn't exactly subtle, and this wasn't the first time she tried to get under my skin. Ever since she found out our boss Frank was my husband, she couldn't stop herself from throwing jabs my way. At first it was veiled. But once she realized Frank didn't bother reacting, she got bolder by the day. Frank knew. Of course he knew. But whenever I brought it up, he'd furrow his brow and say, "Just rise above it. Let it go. You've never worked a real job. You don't get how tough it is for them." That's when I'd bite my tongue, take a deep breath, and chant my personal mantra. Peace above all. Frank used to be a small-town nobody. Climbing his way to where he is now didn't erase that chip on his shoulder. Even after we married and our lifestyle changed, his ego was like glass. Sharp, fragile, and always in need of protection. Meanwhile, Bianca kept running her mouth. "I mean, who doesn't have a rich boyfriend these days? Check this out. My boyfriend just got me this necklace. Top brand. Crazy expensive." Everyone around us oohed and awed. I didn't even blink. I'd stayed up late watching the stock market move like a chessboard on fire. I was running on fumes. The last thing I cared about was her overpriced collar. Clearly my indifference wasn't what she wanted. Frustrated, Bianca stood up, marched over to my desk, and dangled the necklace right in front of my face. "Sherry, what do you think of my new necklace?" I glanced at it out of sheer reflex and froze. It was real, all right. Genuine, high-end. But not the kind people usually bought. That specific piece? It was a corporate freebie. A thank you gift for clients who spent over $70,000 in one go. So either Bianca's boyfriend was clueless, or he was playing her. I opened my mouth to warn her, just instinct. But then I caught the smug little smirk on her face, equal parts gloating and challenge. And I changed my mind. Without thinking, I said what I really felt. "That's it." Bianca's face twisted in an instant. She opened her mouth to snap back, but Frank's sudden arrival cut her off. "Sherry, can I see you for a minute?" I beamed. "Coming, babe." And just like that, I felt something shift. Bianca's breathing hitched. Her eyes flared with something darker than jealousy, something poisonous. Frank's gaze swept across the room, casual but calculated. Bianca caught herself just in time and dropped back into her seat like nothing had happened. I shook off the weird feeling creeping up my spine and followed Frank into his office. The moment the door closed, he turned to me, voice urgent. "What were you two talking about just now?" I shrugged, unfazed. Oh, Bianca was just flaunting the necklace her boyfriend bought her. And throwing some snide comments my way as usual. "By the way, why didn't you wake me up this morning?" Frank softened, smiling at me. "You worked so hard last night making all that money. I wanted to let you sleep in." Here's the truth. Frank was never the rich one. I was. Ever since college, I'd been obsessed with finance. Graduated top of my class from Harvard, went on to do my master's there, then landed on Wall Street. 3 years in, I'd already hit financial freedom. That's when I decided to slow down, stop chasing the grind, and actually live. And that's when I met Frank. He was gentle, attentive, full of charming little romantic gestures. No money, no background, but good looks, ambition, and a golden retriever heart. My parents were hesitant at first, but eventually gave their blessing. And I, knowing how much pressure my success alone would put on him, chose not to tell him my family owned over a dozen companies. So in Frank's eyes, I was just a financially savvy, self-made woman. A corporate high-flyer, modestly successful. After we married, I funded his dream, this design firm. Meanwhile, I joined the company under the radar just to see what it felt like to be a regular employee. Out of respect for Frank's pride, I never made my role or wealth public. So naturally, the office gossip painted me as a woman who'd married up, snagging a young, successful golden boy. Who cares? I'd long outgrown the need for external validation. Let them talk. But little did I know. That was how it all started. On our wedding anniversary, I'd gotten up early to prepare Frank's gift. A Patek Philippe Nautilus. He'd always had a thing for that watch. Never outright said it, but every time we passed the display window he'd linger a little too long. And every time I offered to buy it for him he'd gently shake his head. You've already given me so much. I can't let you buy that for me. Fine. I couldn't buy it for him. But no one said I couldn't gift it. So that day I walked into the office all smiles, excited to end the day with a little celebration. I placed the box on my desk, ready for a romantic evening. Bianca's eyes locked onto it like a hawk. You seriously used Mr. Walter's money to buy yourself something that expensive? And just like that, the office vultures started circling. I've only ever seen that brand on TV. Mr. Walter must really like you, to spend that kind of cash. Bianca was gearing up to fire another shot when I quickly cut in. It's not for me. It's a gift for Frank. Today's our wedding anniversary. I figured that'd shut her up. Instead, she twisted her lips into a smirk and said, "Spending your husband's money to buy your husband a gift? Genius move." I narrowed my eyes and stared her down. She shifted uncomfortably, clearly rattled. "What are you looking at me like that for?" she snapped. I let out a soft breath and murmured. For a second there I thought a garbage truck exploded. Turns out it was just you opening your mouth. Laughter rippled through the office, echoing off the walls like a chorus of hyenas. Bianca's face turned beet red, fury simmering just beneath the surface. And right on cue, Frank appeared, swooping in like a knight in shining armor. Cradling a bouquet of red roses in his arms, he looked at me with that practiced tenderness in his eyes. "Happy anniversary, baby." Cue another round of squeals and teasing. "You two are so perfect together." Couple goals. Even with my thick skin, the attention made my ears burn. I grabbed Frank by the arm and dragged him toward his office before anyone could start filming. As we hurried off, I caught a bitter voice behind me, Bianca, still nursing her bruised ego. "Oh, I see. Step on me just to lift her up, huh? Fine. Keep that energy. Don't come running to me later, any of you." I frowned. Later? What was that supposed to mean? Before I could dig too deep into it, Frank had already pulled me into his office and shut the door behind us. He turned to me with a boyish grin and held out a neatly wrapped box. "For you," he said, almost shy. "Anniversary gift. Hope you like it." I took the box, curiosity piqued. And the second I opened it, I blinked. Oh well. It was from the same brand as the necklace Bianca had flaunted earlier. But this one? A whole different league. This was a high-end piece. Around $15,000 easy. But something felt off. There was no complimentary necklace inside. I remembered that promotion clearly. Spend that much and the brand automatically includes a bonus necklace as a thank you gift. It's not that I cared about the extra jewelry. It's that something didn't add up. Little details started to resurface. Tiny things I'd brushed off before. Frank, seeing I hadn't said anything, chuckled softly. "Not your style. I get it, you don't wear much jewelry. I just thought maybe you'd like it." I snapped out of my thoughts and fixed my expression. "No, I love it. And this," I handed him the watch box, "is yours." He lit up like a kid at Christmas, pulling me into his arms, kissing my cheek, murmuring every sweet word in the book. But as I rested my chin on his shoulder, my eyes dropped to the floor. His Frank looked joyful, but not surprised. Not even a little. Right then the door flew open. Bianca barged in like she owned the place. "Mr. Walter," she said crisply, "a company just reached out. They want to meet this afternoon to discuss a potential partnership. They've arranged hotel accommodations for the evening." I seized the moment and pushed Frank away, cheeks flushed in a performance worthy of an award. Frank scowled, pretending to be annoyed. "Ever heard of knocking?" Bianca offered a look that mimicked remorse but dripped with entitlement. "Apologies, Mr. Walter. Sorry. It's just, this deal's urgent. Even though Sherry hasn't technically earned a cent here, I'm sure as your wife she'll understand, right?" Frank tensed. I could feel him watching me closely, scanning my face. When I merely raised an eyebrow and smiled without saying a word, I saw the relief wash over him. I could practically hear his thoughts. Crisis averted. Everything's still perfect. I tilted my head, voice sweet. "Frank, today's our anniversary. Does it really have to be today?" He hesitated. wavered. But then, Sherry, this deal is important. We'll celebrate when I get back, all right? I caught the flicker in Bianca's eyes. That smug glint of someone who thought she'd won. Like sweeping Frank away on our anniversary somehow meant she was next in line. I gave a well-practiced sigh and nodded wistfully. All right. A partnership meeting can't go poorly. Take my car. Frank drove a BMW. Mine was a Maybach. I knew he wouldn't refuse. And I also knew something he didn't. My parents had installed a high-end tracking system in my car years ago, just in case. So I watched from the window as he pulled out of the parking lot, Bianca in the passenger seat, her ponytail practically swaying with victory. And I felt nothing. No heartbreak. No betrayal. If anything, I felt like laughing. The necklace. The missing freebie. The mysterious, urgent project. Even the Patek Philippe he didn't flinch at. It all lined up too perfectly. Maybe I'd played dumb for too long. So long they forgot who I really was. Here's the thing about me. If you treat me with honesty and care, I'll give you my whole heart. But if you betray me, I'll make damn sure you regret it. So Frank, don't waste your final chance. Sitting in Frank's executive chair, I opened the tracking app on my phone with one hand and dialed a number with the other. Hey Mom, I said sweetly. You know that jewelry brand you own? Mind checking a purchase record for me? You heard that right. The brand of the necklace Frank gave me? Founded by none other than my mother. Frank always assumed I didn't care for jewelry. Figured that meant I wouldn't know the store's policies. He had no idea my indifference came from growing up surrounded by diamonds and designer pieces. I'd seen too much of it too young. It all blurred together after a while. But when it came to this brand, I knew every last detail. Sure enough, a few minutes later the receipt popped up on my screen. Crystal clear. 2 necklaces signed for by Frank himself. So there it was, confirmation. The one draped around Bianca's smug little neck? A freebie. And she was parading around like she just won the lottery. Some people really are easy to please. I hung up and sent my parents a quick message. I'd be heading home for the night. Then I grabbed my things and left the office for their estate. I figured they'd be out for the day. But when I stepped into the house, there they were, already waiting in the living room, worry painted all over their faces. Mom was the first to speak. Sherry, what's going on? Why the sudden inquiry? Isn't today your anniversary? Shouldn't you be with Frank? The concern in their eyes hit me harder than I expected. Something in my chest tightened. I think he's cheating on me, I said calmly, placing my phone on the coffee table. On the screen, my Maybach parked outside the most luxurious hotel in the city. Dad nearly exploded. Then what the hell are we waiting for? Let's catch the bastard in the act, I swear I'll. Before he could finish, Mom cut him off with a death glare and a swift elbow to the ribs. I leaned back, my voice cool. What, just bust in there and end it? That's not nearly enough for the months of lies he's fed me. If he wants to play games. I paused, eyes narrowing. Then let's play. Divorce can wait. The next morning, Frank strutted into the house looking thoroughly satisfied. But the moment he stepped through the door and saw me on the couch, his whole demeanor shifted. Hey Sherry, he stammered. You're home? I thought, didn't you go to work? His face was a textbook of panic, guilt twitching across every line. I had to fight the urge to laugh. I yawned, plain bored. Work's boring. I didn't feel like going in. And those coworkers? Always picking on me. Especially Bianca. The moment I mentioned her name, Frank tensed again like a startled rabbit. Don't let her get to you, he blurted. She's just jealous of you, that's all. If work's that bad, then don't go back. Really. It's better that way, you won't have to see her anymore. I caught the flicker of hope in his eyes. Me stepping away from the company? That would make things so much easier for them. He tried to keep it cool, but I saw the hint of relief soften his expression. Okay then, I mumbled, rolling over with a fake stretch. I'm going back to sleep. You go on. Frank gave me a quick nod, rushed through his morning routine and practically skipped out the door. The moment it shut behind him, I opened my eyes. Don't celebrate just yet. Hope you enjoy the little gift I left you. While Frank and Bianca were off playing out their low-rent soap opera at the hotel yesterday, I was busy installing a micro camera in Frank's office. Dad had raised a fuss about it. This is going too far, he protested. What if you see something gross? But I waved him off while carefully positioning the lens. What's out there that I haven't seen already? And now, sipping wine from my favorite crystal glass, I was tuned into the live stream. Like it was a premium drama I'd personally produced. There she was, Bianca, practically glued to Frank like gum on a shoe. Is she really not coming back? She cooed. Frank, trying to look smooth and smug, cracked a ridiculous grin. Of course not. I'm the man of the house, whatever I say goes. If she gives me attitude, I cut her off. Simple as that. The house, the car, the savings. All under my name. She'd walk away with nothing. She's terrified I'll leave her. Bianca's eyes sparkled with blind admiration. Frank basked in it like a frat boy who just got his first compliment in months. Admiration like that? He never got it from me. But the smug smile didn't last long. Because his little cheerleader leaned in and dropped the real bomb. So when are you going to divorce her? She's spending all your money like water. She'll run you dry. When we get married, I promise I won't be like her. No more leeching off your hard work. She doesn't even earn anything and still burns through cash like there's no tomorrow. I swirled my wine slowly, a smirk playing on my lips. Oh, Frankie boy. You really have no idea who you're messing with. On the screen I watched Frank visibly flinch. There it was. The moment when his little house of lies started wobbling. That's what happens when you brag too hard, sweetheart. He told Bianca that I'd walk away from the marriage empty-handed. So of course, in her mind, divorce would be a breeze, as long as Frank gave the green light. But the thing is, a lie is still a lie. And bless my father for insisting we sign a prenup before walking down the aisle. Thanks to him, the one left with nothing won't be me. It'll be Frank. He knows it too. Without me, Frank would snap back to his real-life version overnight. No company. No Maybach. No designer suits. Frank. So of course he doesn't want a divorce. Bianca was just a side dish. A fragile little boost for his deflated ego. And now, boxed into a corner, he went full romantic hero. Just give me a little more time, he said, voice syrupy. I can't drop it on her like that, not after all these years. It would crush her. You wouldn't want the man you love to be heartless, would you? Trust me. You're the only one I really care about. I snorted into my wine. Crushed? Oh, it'll crush me, all right. I'll be laughing so hard in my sleep I might break a rib. And just when I was wondering how best to deliver the final blow, fate handed me a front-row ticket to my favorite genre. Backstabbers turning on each other. Swear to God, I didn't plan what happened next. This happened. Naturally. Beautifully. With all the extra time on my hands. Thank you, retirement. I decided to swing by the mall. Retail therapy felt fitting. A little pre-freedom celebration. I was in a private VIP suite, sipping espresso while the manager showed me the latest handbags. That's when I heard her. I want that bag. The one Sherry always carries. She's always waving it around in front of me. I want one too. In the same store. Loud enough to crack glass. The manager froze. She knew exactly who I was. My mother being one of their top clients didn't hurt. Her eyes widened as she looked at me in pure panic. Please, her look begged. I didn't hear anything. I swear. I raised an eyebrow. Gave her a small wicked smile. Do me a favor, I whispered. Let's have a little fun. After all, when a gift from the universe lands right in your lap, it's just rude not to unwrap it. The moment Frank heard my voice coming from inside the store, he froze like a deer in headlights. Bianca, on the other hand, turned toward me with sparkles in her eyes. The kind you see on someone expecting a good old-fashioned catfight. I emerged from the VIP suite with the manager practically bowing beside me, feigning surprise as if I'd just spotted a long-lost friend. Frank. I chirped, all sugar and sparkles. What are you doing here? Were you missing me already? I gagged a little inside but leaned in close, wrapping my arm around his. Frank visibly relaxed and rushed to explain himself. I have this female client. Wanted help picking out a gift. So I brought Bianca to help out. I tilted my head, turning toward Bianca as if noticing her for the first time. Bianca? You're here too. Wow, that's bold, shopping from this brand. Sweetie, 1 year of your salary wouldn't even cover a zipper in here. The store manager jumped in right on cue. Miss, please put that bag down. That one's reserved for a VIP client. If it's damaged, you won't be able to cover it. I nearly choked on my laughter. That performance, Oscar-worthy. Cornered from both sides, Bianca's face turned a violent shade of red. Her eyes welled up with tears as she turned to Frank, pleading silently for backup. But Frank pretended she wasn't even there. His gaze locked onto me like I was the only woman in the room. "Babe," he said, voice full of fake devotion, "you've got the best taste. Why don't you help me pick something?" With a flick of the manager's hand, every sales associate in the store lined up holding a different handbag ready for inspection. She personally led me to the plushest seat, brought over water and delicate little pastries. "Take your time, ma'am. Let us know which one speaks to you." I crooked my finger and pointed. Whichever associate I gestured to stepped forward and offered their bag like it was a crown jewel. I examined each piece with lazy elegance. Open, close, glance, wave. Each wave sent them scurrying back with a polite bow. By the third bag, Bianca snapped. "She's tossing those around and no one says a word. I barely hold one and I get scolded like a child." The manager responded with a polite smile and a perfect jab. "That's different. Mrs. Walter is one of our most valued clients. If she ruined every bag in this store, we'd still be honored to serve her. But you, miss, please step aside. You're blocking the entrance." Bianca's glare could have ignited fabric. Her anger practically radiated heat. But beneath it I saw something else brewing. Hunger. Not the kind for handbags. The kind that dreams of climbing over corpses in stilettos. I smiled to myself. "Go ahead, Bianca. Make your move. Just don't disappoint me." After Frank and Bianca left, each holding a bag I had so graciously helped select, I settled back into the sofa, sipping tea and nibbling pastries like a woman without a care in the world. The manager hovered near me, eyes flicking with hesitation. I gave her a knowing look. "We've known each other long enough," I said calmly. "If you've got something to say, say it." She hesitated for a beat, then let out a breath. "I've worked in this industry for years," she said, admiration clear in her voice. "I've seen dozens of women find out their husbands are cheating. But I've never seen one stay this calm." I finished the last sip of tea and placed the cup down gently. "Wrap up every bag I touched," I said. "Split the commission between you and the associates who played along. Have them delivered to my house." Her face lit up with surprise and gratitude. I smiled at her, serene. Why should I waste time being heartbroken? Isn't he the one who should be miserable? As for me, I believe in cutting losses early and enjoying life while I'm at it. That evening, Frank came home unusually early, his face tight, simmering with something he clearly hadn't managed to swallow down. I almost laughed out loud. "So, the fighting has started? Wasn't it true love just yesterday?" I kept my expression blank, all innocence and ease. "Oh, by the way," I said sweetly, "my car's in for maintenance. You can pick it up tomorrow. I've been thinking, since I'm not commuting anymore, maybe I'll just give the car to you." As expected, his eyes lit up like a kid being handed the keys to a candy store. "I knew you loved me most," he gushed. "When can I?" He stopped himself, realizing just how desperate he sounded. Cleared his throat. Shifted his tone. "I mean, whenever works for you. No rush." I gave him a gentle smile. "Perfect. Once you get the car, come pick me up from the office. We can go change the title together." Frank stiffened. "You said you weren't going back to the office." I pouted. "What? Now I'm not even allowed at the company. I just thought it'd be closer for you. Pick me up, drive over. Easy." Frank looked trapped, but he forced a smile and nodded quickly. "Of course. Whatever you want." I smiled to myself. Tomorrow's going to be one hell of a show. The next morning, Frank practically skipped out of the house to get the car. I watched him go, savoring the anticipation. Soon enough, the dealership staff would tell him exactly what I arranged. That the car's equipped with a top-grade tracking system. Let's see if he can keep smiling after that. Meanwhile, I had a different stage to prep for. I did my makeup with care, slid into a sleek, floor-length black gown I'd been saving for a dramatic occasion, and headed to the office. The moment I walked in, Bianca's eyes locked onto me like daggers. The jealousy? Palpable. All I had to do was give her the final push. And things would unfold exactly as I planned. So I strolled right up to her, voice sharp and clear. "You're fired." The room went dead silent. My words sliced through the air like a blade. Bianca's bloodshot eyes widened in disbelief. Fired? You have no authority to fire me. You're just some housewife clinging to Mr. Walter's coattails. I studied my freshly manicured nails. Still, I'm Mrs. Walter, aren't I? You really thought I hadn't noticed your little crush on Frank? Something flickered in her eyes. Shame? Fear? Hard to say. I leaned in just enough. Too bad, I said softly. Frank doesn't like you. In fact, he finds you annoying. That did it. Bianca cracked. You're lying, she shouted. He hates you. He told me I'm the only woman he's ever truly loved. I sank into a nearby chair looking bored. Got any proof? That was the final poke. With all eyes on her, Bianca snapped. You want proof? Fine. I'll show you. She snatched up her phone, ready to shove it in my face. I calmly raised a hand. Wait. She sneered. What? Getting cold feet. Ready to back down and walk away quietly? I stood up, walked over to the conference screen and plugged in a projector. Not quite, I said sweetly. It's just, my eyes aren't what they used to be. Let's put it on the big screen so everyone can see. Bianca was too far gone to realize the trap. Eyes burning with rage, she let me guide her through the connection. And there it was, projected in full HD for the entire office to witness. Hotel reservations. Flirty messages. Videos so explicit even the most scandal-hardened coworkers cringed. I sat back, poured myself a glass of wine from the office bar and watched. My phone buzzed again and again. Frank, no doubt. Probably at the dealership by now. Probably being told about the tracking system. Probably spiraling. Good. Let him sweat. You want a drama? I'd give him something Oscar-worthy. Across the room, Bianca began to tremble. The room was thick with murmurs. Disgusting. She really thought she was gonna be the next Mrs. Walter? No wonder she acted like she owned the place. Bianca snapped back to reality. Sherry, give me back my phone, she barked. You've seen enough. Now step aside. I smiled, almost pitying her. Actually, there were a few details I'd like to replay. The whispers around us grew louder. Bianca was unraveling fast. She lunged toward the projector. And then the door opened. Frank walked in. If Frank had even a shred of hope left on the drive over, telling himself maybe the GPS was just a coincidence, it all vanished the second he stumbled through the office doors and saw what was on the screen. He staggered toward me, pale and shaking, lips barely forming the words. What are you watching? I patted the seat beside me like a gracious host. Oh, nothing much, I said with a smile. Just a little late-night viewing. You and Bianca, unfiltered. Come have a seat. You're the star after all. Bianca, still deluded, looked at him with hopeful, watery eyes. Frank turned to her, bloodshot, furious, and for a moment I genuinely thought he might rip her apart right there. She went silent. Tears streamed down her face. Then, without warning, Frank snatched her phone from the table and slammed it against the wall. The crack echoed. Pieces flew. He turned to me, desperation etched into every inch of his face. Sherry, sweetheart. I took a quick step back and gestured to Bianca, loud and clear. Sure, I took your phone earlier. But everyone here saw who smashed it. Right, Mr. Daniel? Frank followed my gaze. And the color drained from his face. Four men stood in the corner, practically invisible until now. Suits, equipment, briefcases. All business. I gestured toward them casually. Daniel is my attorney. That's the notary. The other two? My security. Bianca laughed, still convinced she held some imaginary power. So what? She scoffed. Frank already told me. You guys signed a prenup. You walk away with nothing. Shut up. Frank roared, spinning on her. Then back to me, eyes pleading. Sherry, please, can we talk in private? I looked at him with a mix of pity and disgust. Even now, still trying to protect his image. Still hoping to salvage the last threads of his mask. But sure, why not? I could indulge that much. I nodded and walked toward his office, with my bodyguards following close behind. The moment the door shut behind us, Frank dropped to his knees. I leaned back against the desk, calm as ever. And this is? Please, he begged. Let me explain. It's not what it looks like. Bianca seduced me, she made it all up, she faked the messages. At my signal, one of the guards crossed the room, lifted a canvas off the wall, and pulled out the hidden micro camera I'd installed. I raised a brow. Frank, you could have owned up. You could have at least had the decency to be honest. But no. You're still trying to blame her. Frank went gray. You knew all along. I reached into my bag and tossed the necklace box onto the floor. Not all along. Just since this little gift. You thought I didn't know that brand gives a free necklace with a $15,000 purchase? His eyes flickered with the faintest hope. Sherry, can you forgive me? He whispered. Please. One more chance. I crouched beside him, gently tapping his cheek. What do you think? And that was it. The mask fell. The real Frank emerged. You played me, he growled. You think you'll just walk away clean? You owe me compensation. I've built a business, a reputation. If you think I'll let you ruin that, you're delusional. I took the glass of wine from my guard and sipped it, unbothered. You're always in such a rush, Frank. You didn't even let me finish my little story. I set the glass down. You want to know how I know this brand so well? My mother founded it. And these fine gentlemen? All borrowed from my father's legal team. I turned to Daniel with a smile. Would you kindly introduce me? With perfect timing he stepped forward. Sherry Smith. Legal Director, Smith Group. Frank's last spark of defiance died then and there. The rage in his eyes melted into something far more familiar. Panic. Regret. Despair. I rose to my feet, adjusting my dress. Let's go. Time to file for divorce. He didn't move. I paused at the door. And just as I turned the handle, he croaked out. Just don't ruin me publicly. Please. Just let me keep the image. I tilted my head. This image you're so desperate to protect? It's already gone. But if you're smart, you'll stop digging. No, he hissed. You don't understand. I stared at him for a long moment. And then with a half smile. Hey. As you wish. I stepped out into the hallway with light, easy steps. Bianca's head snapped up as I passed. Everything all right? A coworker asked cautiously. I gave them a warm smile. All good. Thanks for your concern. Can't chat now. I have a divorce to finalize. Gasps. Whispers. Bianca beamed like she just won the lottery. She didn't even notice the fury brewing in Frank's eyes behind her. Outside, my bodyguard opened the car door for me. And as I slipped into the seat, I heard the office murmurs behind me. Poor Sherry. She's actually really kind. Something doesn't add up though. Did you see those lawyers and bodyguards? Yeah, she doesn't look like someone who needs to depend on Frank. The door shut with a quiet click. Whatever happened next wasn't my concern anymore. The divorce was finalized quickly. Thanks to my legal team and the notary present, Frank walked away with nothing. Not the house, not the money. Even the luxury watch I once gave him, taken back. But in a gesture of what looked like mercy, though it wasn't, I left him the company and the car. Not because I'm generous. Because I know what he doesn't, they're liabilities now. He won't be able to keep either afloat. Before leaving, I gave him a gentle reminder. Oh, by the way, payroll's due next week. I used to quietly cover payroll with my own money when cash flow got tight. This month, he's on his own. Good luck, Frank. You'll need it. I thought that would be the end of it. But whispers trickled in from old coworkers. Frank moved out of my house and into Bianca's cramped little rental. They claimed it was to strengthen their bond. Sure. The Maybach? Gone. Quietly sold. Publicly spun as choosing a more eco-conscious lifestyle. Translation: he bikes now. And the company? Payroll's been delayed for over a week. Frank's been chasing new clients, but mysteriously, every old partner has suddenly backed out. My dad? Denies any involvement, of course. I didn't care. I was back at the same boutique in the same VIP suite, with the same manager helping me browse handbags. That's right. I came back. And just like clockwork, that familiar screech rang out from the main floor. Frank, are you serious right now? You won't even buy me one bag? Sherry used to switch hers out daily. She had a different one every single day for a month. I rolled my eyes. Of course she's mad. It's easy to be generous when it's not your money. The manager looked like she was about to faint. Her expression screamed. Not again. Just as she was about to bolt, I grabbed her arm. I'll take all the bags I touch today. And don't worry, your performance? Flawless. The manager lit up like a Christmas tree. You got it. I've been waiting for this role. When Bianca finally spotted me, she puffed up like a rooster ready to charge. She pointed at the manager and barked orders like she owned the place. Bring me your best bags. And get her out of here. What kind of shop lets nobodies like that in? The manager blinked at her, then looked her over like a confused bystander watching someone argue with a trash can. Oh, it's you again. You've gotten even dumber, haven't you? Bianca shrieked. You can't talk to me like that. I'm the new Mrs. Walter now. Who does she think she is? She clearly expected the manager to panic and grovel. But the manager turned away without so much as a glance. That flicker of confusion in Bianca's eyes said everything. Why isn't this working anymore? Why doesn't this title scare people like it used to? She watched, slack-jawed, as the manager bowed to me and promised to have all 20 bags I'd picked delivered to my home immediately. Bianca's eyes narrowed. She turned to Frank and hissed, "You gave her money again, didn't you?" Frank had been staring at the floor the whole time, trying to pretend he was invisible. At Bianca's accusation he stammered, "Oh, you're imagining things." But then something clicked. His eyes lit up. He looked at me like he'd just had the dumbest, most desperate idea of his life. I didn't care enough to find out what it was. I turned and headed for the exit. Naturally, the two of them followed me. Because of course they did. Bianca rushed ahead to block my path. "Sherry, tomorrow's our wedding day. You have to come." I hesitated for effect. Bianca, mistaking it for embarrassment, was just about to throw in a jab when I looked at her earnestly and asked, "Can I come without a gift?" That stunned her into silence. She blinked, processing. Then, through gritted teeth, "As long as you come." The lengths she would go just to humiliate me publicly? Almost impressive. But of course I'd attend. Spending money. Making money. Watching disasters unfold in slow motion? My top 3 hobbies. That night I went to bed early, preparing for the show. But just before I drifted off, I got a visitor I didn't expect. I stood across from Frank, arms crossed, watching the man who used to consider himself the prize. He looked terrible. Disheveled. Hollow-eyed. His suit wrinkled, probably hadn't been dry cleaned in months. Well, selling his car to save money wasn't the worst of it. Guess laundering a reputation is pricier than dry cleaning. I yawned. "If you've got something to say, say it." He dropped to his knees with a dramatic thud. I didn't even blink. I'd seen this act before. Tears streaming down his face, Frank begged, "Sherry, I know you'll never forgive me. I get it. But can you, just this once, give me a little help? Just some living expenses." I smiled, slow and sharp. "Oh, didn't you tell Bianca I'd be terrified of you cutting off my money? And if you recall, I left $200,000 in the company account when I left. That was my personal money, Frank. I covered payroll out of my own pocket for years." He mumbled, I tried investing it. And stocks. It's all gone. I saw you made millions last year. I thought I could too." I tilted my head. "Do you think I'm going to give you anything?" Frank looked up, eyes crazed. "If you don't, then I'll just die right here in your house. You won't get rid of me that easy." I chuckled, not even flinching. In the end, he walked out of my home thrilled to be holding a check for 50 grand. I told him, sweet as honey, "Don't worry, I'll bring a check to the wedding tomorrow too. Consider it a gift." As soon as the door closed behind him, I exported the surveillance footage and hit send. Once bitten. Try to scam me twice? Then you're just begging to be destroyed. The next day I showed up at their wedding right on time. The venue was packed. Most of the company had been pressured into attending. Bianca lit up like a Christmas tree when she saw me. She marched over, dragging Frank along like a trophy on a leash, clearly relishing every second. "Sherry," she said, smug beyond measure. "Thank you so much for handing your rich husband over to me. As a housewife, you never really deserved him anyway. And even though you clearly couldn't afford a gift, we still appreciate you showing up." I looked at her with genuine pity. "The man you're so proud to call your rich husband? He was on his knees in my living room just yesterday begging me for money. Wishing you both everlasting happiness," I said gently. She blinked, sensing something was off, but before she could respond I clapped my hands. "Actually, I did bring you a gift after all." The room dimmed. The screen lit up. Footage rolled. Crystal clear. Unforgiving. Frank's desperate pleas. His tearful confessions. Every word, every groveling syllable. Bianca seduced me. She faked the evidence. You still owe me even if we're divorced. Don't expose me, please, just out of respect for what we had. I lost all the money on bad investments, please just a little to survive. If you don't help me, I'll die right here. Frank lunged for the screen, desperate to smash it. Hotel security blocked him, unshaken. You took my money. This is my wedding, he howled. But the hotel manager stood tall and smiled. Sorry, sir. The Smith Group just finalized their acquisition of this hotel. Miss Smith is now one of our shareholders. Silence. An eruption. Wait, did he say Smith Group? That's Smith Group. She makes millions from the stock market? So he's the gold digger? He acted like a CEO, but he's just a leech? Frank shrank under the weight of 100 eyes. Bianca gaped, looked from me to Frank like her world had tilted. Then she snapped. You liar. You disgusting fraud. She clawed at Frank as the entire room descended into chaos. I turned away, unfazed, and strolled toward the exit. I could have let Frank go quietly. But no. He tried to blackmail me twice. Daniel passed me at the door with 2 police officers in tow. They nodded silently. I didn't need to look back. Later, Daniel filled me in on the aftermath. Frank was charged with extortion, wage fraud, and financial misconduct. His accounts were frozen, his company dissolved, and he was sentenced. Bianca. Her savings were already gone. Frank had gambled them all away. She couldn't even repay the debt. Some of the company's former employees found new homes at Smith Group, quietly, efficiently. Bianca even applied herself for a job. I smiled and raised an eyebrow. Oh, Mrs. Walter wants a job. Why not try your luck with an actual millionaire next time? She paused, genuinely considering it. But that, luckily, was no longer my problem. It's overrated. Revenge, on the other hand, is art. And I've never been one to leave a masterpiece unfinished.